This week on Camera Talk, we're stepping into the Wayback Machine. We're not going that vintage. This is we're going modern vintage. This is a Canon 85mm 1.8. Now, again, usually I talk about vintage stuff, right? But hey, this is like a 30-year-old lens, you know, from 1992. Here we are almost into 2022. You know, that's 30 years. That's older than probably some of you people. So we're going to talk about this. It's a portrait lens. It can be used for many things, but you know, most people would use this as a portrait lens. So let's get to know what this little Canon 85 is all about. So come on with me and we'll get into it.
Here I am, Vietnam. Rain is always coming down.
This is Camera Talk with Dr. Scott. All right, here we are. Another week, another episode of Camera Talk. And just as the intro says, this week we're going to be highlighting a modern vintage lens. Now this is a Canon 85mm 1.8. Pretty famous lens, you know. It's been around the block and back. I mean, they still make these things new. Here we are again. And again, this was developed and released in 1992. It's only a couple of years after they you know, introduced this new mount, was the EF mount, you know, coming out of the FD mount in the 70s, 80s, and here we are in the 90s with this little beauty here. So for a 30-year-old lens, you may think that, oh well, there's better lenses out there, and there are, but when you're looking at bang for your buck, this 85 is something that you can't really kick it out of bed for eating crackers kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Oh, behave! Yeah!
$300, what I paid for this, but you can find it $300 to $400 in that range, brand new. So you can imagine, you know, getting it used, you know, on like an Amazon or an eBay or wherever you live in the world. And you could probably pick up one of these for relatively little money. Now, if you want to compare it to its big brother, you know, Canon also makes an L lens. Everybody knows the L lens with the red ring around it. Twice as big as this. It's huge, really super heavy, and you're not going to get that lens for $300 or $400. It's like $2,000. But when you compare this with the L lens side by side, you know, besides wide open at f1.2, you know, the L lens kind of, it's easy to see the difference between the two, you know, that at 1.2 and this one 1.8. But once you get that one up to 1.8 to 2 to 2.8, this one actually performs better.
All right, let me get the fuck out of here.
Than the L lens. So why the heck would you go spending $2,000 on a lens when you can get almost equivalent for $300 or $400, right? Unless you need that 1.2, go ahead and throw $2,000 at that. Hey, it's your money. But here at Modesty Photography, you know, we're all about saving you money and trying to get you good quality bang for the buck, as they say. So again, this 85, and I'm going to show you some samples of my son Dylan. Aww. Usual little model. Why? Because he's cute, for one, and the biggest reason, he's free. Can't beat that, right? Best budget in the world is free. Anyway, just some specs about this, you know, this lens. You know, it's a 9 element in 7 groups. Its close focus distance equals its focal length. Well, not really. The number anyway, because 85 millimeter. Close focus is 85 centimeters, which, you know, translates into 2.8 feet for those in the imperial system. It has 8 rounded aperture blades, which is pretty sweet. Adds for a great element of the quality of your autofocus background, otherwise known as bokeh.
Buttery bokeh.
Bokeh for some of the people who like to say that, but
Bokeh.
it's like the same thing as the people who say, you know, your computer information is data. Data, that's what my son calls me, data. Data. It's data. You never seen Star Trek? Captain Picard, he always says data, right? And that's what I call it too. But anyway, bokeh, bokeh, whatever you want to call it, is whatever you want to call it. But it has some great bokeh. It's not heavy at all, 425 grams or roughly 15 ounces, a little bit less than that, but you know, close enough. Now this is an EF, again, an EF lens, but I don't have a camera, I don't have an EF mount Canon. I have an EFM Canon, which is filming this video right now, and I have an EFM adapter to use my EF mount lens. But I have a Viltrox EF to NEX adapter, so I can use it on my Sony A7R II, and you know, again, to take advantage of the autofocus and things like this, you obviously have to get a smart adapter, which is why I use the Viltrox, and it's got the electronic connections here so that the lens can speak to the camera and back in that regard. Now, as much as I say that too, you know, autofocus is great, but I'm a manual focus guy. As you can see over my shoulder here, all my manual focus, or my Leica manual focus. But this still has the capability to do autofocus, so every now and then I'll toy with the autofocus on it. Now this model of 85 is USM model, and USM stands for ultrasonic motor. And they even, instead of just saying USM, they actually have a gold ring around here where it's actually spelled out ultrasonic, because that's pretty cool, right? Actually, they have ultrasonic here as well. They have it in a couple different places. Now it has a manual focus, autofocus switch to go back and forth. But one of the beauties of this lens, like versus, let's say, the L lens, is, you know, you can leave it in autofocus the entire time and use it to focus in and out. But anytime you want to convert to manual focus, all you got to do is turn the focus ring, and voila, you're instantly into manual focus, just like that, with no fighting back and forth between you and the lens. It just automatically gives you control. And again, that's one of the beauties of this particular lens here, whereas in a lot of other 85s out there don't do any such thing. So anyway, at 1.8, fairly sharp, wide open, but of course the corners can be a tad bit soft. You know, it's what's to be expected with wide open. Unless you're using Leica stuff, but that's a whole different ballgame. But you stop this baby down to 2.8, and you've got corner to corner sharpness. And again, how can you beat that? You know, a lot of lenses out there start at 2.8, and then, you know, with soft corner. So this is going to have corner to corner sharpness starting at 2.8, and, you know, obviously up to 4 or 5.6. It's excellent in that regard too. But as I said, it's a portrait lens. I mean, that's what 85s are going to be the most flattering focal length for the face, you know, to get at least, you know, from here up kind of thing, shoulders, head type thing. Now you can back up a little bit, maybe go portrait mode and get, you know, half body shots, or step back and get a full body shot. But generally, most photographers are going to use an 85 for, you know, facial portraits. And, you know, some of the complaints that have been reported over the years, and again, some people don't ever find this happening, but some people do, and that's in, you know, light, contrasty, you know, backlit situations and whatnot. You may find some chromatic aberrations in it, you know, the purple fringing. But some people shoot in all kinds of bright situations and they don't get it at all. So it's kind of a hit and miss. You're lucky or not lucky, you know, with it. But with today's, you know, photo editing software, a lot of this stuff could just boop, zip that out of there anyway with the click of the button. So voila, you're done. But anyway, as I said, it's a super lens. As always, you know, I get you a shot of the end of the lens, end of the what's they call it, my EFM 15 to 45, you know, kit lens that's on the on my Canon M50. You know, so I try to zoom in, and of course I'm gonna see right now it's on autofocus, and let me here give you a sound. You hear that? Let me turn it this way. Yeah, it's pretty quiet, right? There we go. Let me show you some pictures of Dylan that I got the other day. And here's some, you know, random portrait shots done with this lens as well to show you, you know, the capabilities of the lens. Also, because we're in lockdown, I can't exactly go wandering the neighborhood taking you know, portrait shots of people or whatnot. So here's some samples anyway. Okay, so that was the 85 millimeter Canon 1.8 super lens. Great bang for the buck, super economical. You know, if you're on a budget or you're, you know, you've got, like on my my A7, my original A7 here, I have Canon's 50 millimeter 1.8, the nifty 50, the $100 lens. You know, that's what a lot of people start with, you know, and I'll do its own video another time, but you know, the 85 is kind of another step up in that regard. The 50, you know, it's good for portraiture, but 85 is just better. Now, the reason I went with my 50 right off the bat was because on my M50, it's an APS-C crop sensor. So my 50 on my M50 behaved closer to what this was anyway, closer to like 80-ish or 80-something-ish. So it's you know, again, moving up into full frame, the 85 behaves as an 85 as it should, and therefore it's a perfect portrait lens. So, you know, there's my recommendation. I'd highly advise you to get one. You know, again, they're economical. How can you not? You know, if you don't have an 85 already. I mean, I have a Zeiss Sony Batis 85 1.82. It's much more expensive than this one, but comparable. You know, again, if you put them side by side, it's real difficult to see the differences. You know, that Batis is a newer, a more contemporary 85, so it you know, operates a little smoother than this one, but still. You know, as I said, for a 30-year-old lens, this little Canon 85 can't complain. So that was it for this week. It was nice, short, sweet, you know, which is rare for my videos. But I still want to get my plug-in for Luminar if you're in the neighborhood and looking for some photo editing software. Luminar and Luminar AI are great. They're also plugins for Lightroom and so forth and so on, but as a standalone software, they're also great. It's what I use. You know, I don't bother with anything else because it's a one-time purchase. It's yours for life, and it's economical. I mean, I think last time I looked anyway, it was about $89, and I have a link below. You click on that, you save $10, so there's $79. It's yours for life. You upgrade as they release new updates and everything, and who could complain about that, right? So give it a shot. I also have a video on their latest update because Luminar AI added a portrait bokeh feature where you could add in bokeh in your background if you have, not enough. If you're shooting with, 1.4 Suma luxes or something, you're going to get creamy background. But, if you're shooting with, wide angle lenses, or you're doing group photos where things are crystal sharp, the background is also probably pretty sharp, and you want to blur that out. So, the software adds that element of bokeh, and give it a test drive and see. You'll be happy with it. So other than that, that's all I really had to say this week. So hey, why don't you subscribe? If you like what you saw today, or you like any of my videos, subscribe. And why not support me, right? The more support I get, the better, so I can get more exposure out there in the world. So why not give me a subscribe? And the algorithm also likes thumbs up, so click on the like button. Get that thumbs up, right? So we can also show off the thumbs up girls. And that was pretty much it. So hey, in this world of COVID-19 with our latest Delta variant, hey, get your vaccine. I got one a week ago. My wife gets one tomorrow. Don't be an anti-vaxxer. You'd rather it just, make you a little sick than kill you, right? Unless you're a tough guy and think, hey, who's afraid of death, right? Well, get out there and don't get vaccinated and see where it gets you. Anyway, so stay safe. Wear your mask when you're needed to. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Stay out of cars with 16 people in them, and so forth and so on, and you'll be fine. So anyway, thanks for dropping by. This was Camera Talk with Dr. Scott, brought to you by Modesty Photography. And remember, hey, you belong here, right? So come on back next week, and let's do this all again. Different topic, but we'll do the same kind of format. All right, so have yourself a great week and a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. All right, bye-bye.
Here I am, Vietnam.